Gather round for the Oke Farm Pondcast with Doug Davis.
So, Curtis, one of the things that I love about doing this is you and I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
That's right.
Zero. I mean, today we have a little bit. You brought some stuff that I'm gonna taste, but I mean, other than that, I mean, we have absolutely no idea. And I didn't even know you were going to bring something. I don't even know what it is yet. But as I was thinking, like, what could we share today? The thing that kept coming to my mind is I've got so much energy around this new protein program, but specifically around this pork that we got in. So I wanted to kind of give everybody an update that we butchered 3 of our Meishan pigs. I guess we hauled them in last week. And while we do process like chickens and turkeys and periodically like with wild boar and stuff, we'll process them on site. But just because of the demand and regulations and everything else, we partner with someone local. But when we got that pork in and we're going through it the other day, and I brought 2 things home. I brought some bacon home and I brought some sausage home. And I'm going to tell you, I had some folks here yesterday and I cooked a little bit for them. And I told them, I said, I want you to give me your honest opinion on the sausage. And they could not believe it. They were absolutely blown away. You haven't had any of the sausage.
No, I haven't had the sausage.
You don't know this. Check this out. I've got a little bit for you. And so I just have not much, but this is our pork blueberry sausage. I want you to give me your honest reaction to this. I'm gonna have to have a piece too. I don't want to jade you.
I need another piece.
But if you don't say that's about the best thing you ever put in your mouth, I don't know what's wrong with your taste buds, because I'm not gonna tell me what you thought. Give me your thoughts. What are you tasting? What are you seeing? Give me what your reaction is.
I mean, I just want to take a step back. I didn't know that there were going to be flavored types of sausage until we were unboxing everything the other day. And when I heard jalapeno cheddar, I got excited. That's one of my favorite styles of sausage. And when I heard blueberry, I was intrigued by it. I was like, I wonder how those flavors are going to blend together. And I mean, that's without a doubt. And I want to say something that you say often in your reels when you're doing testings here.
Yeah.
You always say, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to tell you all the truth. That is absolutely some of the best sausages I've ever had.
Yeah.
The blending of flavors is perfect.
You don't get a lot of blueberry.
No.
You don't get a lot of blue. I didn't tell the people that had it yesterday that it was blueberry. And then I told them later on it was blueberry, and they're like, "Oh, I knew something was a little bit different, but it gives it just enough of a sweet flavor to where it's not overly sweet, but there's something else going on, but you can't put your finger on it." And the actual texture profile is what I love so much about it. Like sometimes when you bite into sausage, there's not crunch, but there's a little bit of there's a lot of fleshy, meaty part to it, and sometimes it can even be dry.
Yeah.
The juice to actual, gosh, I don't know how you describe it, but it's just perfect.
Yeah.
Good. So anyway, so how about that? So
and then I had some of the bacon. We both tried some of the bacon the other day, which was incredible. And I mean, gosh, there's a distinct difference in pork, heritage breed, Meishan pork, raised the way that they're raised here at the farm, where they have some of the nicest property around as their pen.
Their living quarters.
Living quarters. They get to root around, eat naturally as if they were in the wild. they live a pretty good life. All the
They do.
livestock here live a pretty good life. And that was something, that was another reason that drew Jenny and I to the farm was, we've been through that. It's almost like I've had this conversation with so many different people, we went through phases. I don't know how other people did it, but we went through phases. And it's like when you start to learn, whenever it was, about industrial meat production,
Right.
and what we do in this country, around the world,
Yeah.
how we treat animals and how we raise them for production, and how that meat is how the animals are grown, processed, and how they get delivered to our stores. It's probably some documentary or something that we saw 15 years ago. And my immediate reaction was I rejected meat for a while.
Right.
And when I began, and actually went through, it was probably about 10 years ago, went through a period where I was vegetarian.
Yeah.
And Jenny and I both were. And it was because of that.
Right. It was a reaction to the circumstances by which
wasn't health related. Wasn't
right.
like, I believed all the stuff that was told to me that if you eat a lot of red meat, it's bad for you.
Right.
Which I know now is an absolute myth.
Right.
And so anyway, then you begin the process of, all right, where can I find good meat where I have some idea I can trust and where it was raised, how it was raised, etc. And even then, the options are fairly few in between. Now, the good news is there seems to be a lot more options.
Right.
Go to the grocery store now, you can find some grass-fed beef from a regenerative farm like White Oak or something like that in the grocery store, which is good. But living here, helping feed the animals like we do sometimes with some of the leftover produce that's about to go bad or whatever, we'll feed to the pigs and to the cows, and so being a part of that, again, as it was done in the old days, taking care of what is going to be your food source is really just incredible. And to actually taste that, I'm blown away, and I'm so excited now because we had the opportunity last year to participate in some of the hogs that were harvested, but it was an experiment. Yeah. It was kind of working through some of the issues, but now that we have got this variety of cuts, and we've got a way to be able to get it in the hands of our owners efficiently. Yeah. Now, with an inventory system and being able to purchase it on a owner's design website store, and maybe even have some product for public events available for people who actually come in. Maybe we'll open some of that stuff up.
the barbecue this weekend, right?
Yeah. Man, it's just exciting because it feels like we just took a huge leap forward and getting a better idea of the full vision of this farm and what its capabilities are.
Let me kind of drill down on that piece of it, because I think both folks that are listening and folks that are already actually owners here need to understand, and the ones that are here largely do, but the scale at which we're trying to roll out these programs, not only just the actual farm itself, but also how folks can interact, engage with the farm, how they can enjoy the fruit of the farm. We're making this up as we go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're talking about last year, we had a couple of trial runs. We tried some stuff with food boxes that we were sending with people. Yeah. And I want to share for those who don't already know, we're figuring this out as we go. Mm-hmm. And for those who have ever tried to do something like this, you can appreciate we as much as possible, we try to be thoughtful with the way we roll things out, but we blow it sometimes. And I just want to admit that right away. We make mistakes. Sometimes we underestimate what we can pull off. And what you're just describing resonates so deeply and is so joyous to me, because this is something that's been in the work. This protein program has been in the works now for years. Yeah. And we're just now at a point where we've got our arms around it and we're launching it, if not next week or the week, like very, very, very soon. By the time a lot of folks actually hear this, it'll probably already be up and running, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I wanted to share with people that maybe you have been frustrated with us about something that's happened or hasn't happened or whatever else, but I really try to set the right expectation when people come to visit here, that as a rule, we try to always under promise and over deliver, because I know that's important. But then number two, I try to set the expectation that there's not a model out there that we're following. And we may have shared this a little bit in some of our discussions before, but we really are making this up as we go. Yeah. And that's both terrifying and exhilarating. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, there is nothing like it. And having to forge a new pathway. But I want to make that point one more time about the convenience now. So again, we talked about the types of meats that are available in the store that you can go get, but now, I mean, we literally will be able to go to the clubhouse. Like, I'm envisioning, obviously there are people who will plan and they'll buy enough meat while they're here to feed their family, but let's say you've got some unexpected guests who come over for the weekend, and you're like, gosh, it'd be nice to grill some pork chops or do some baby back ribs, or have some bacon here for breakfast, or some of this unbelievable sausage.
It's gonna go quick.
Like, you don't have to go to the store.
Yeah.
It's okay, I'm gonna run up to the clubhouse and walk up to the clubhouse and have my pick of some of the most incredibly delicious and humanely raised proteins that are available anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's I'm sure you get this question all the time. We get this question when people are asking about how do the owners share everything that's produced at the farm,
right?
And so there are some distinctions there, and maybe it's worth sort of going through those.
So, yeah.
Because it would. Well, let me just talk about the abundance. I mean, I don't know what the actual count is of pigs that we have on the farm right now, but that was only 3 that were a part of that harvest.
That was kind of sobering, wasn't it?
And then we have so much meat. But that hit me was like, oh my gosh, like if we had to go self-sufficient, we've talked about those scenarios in the past, we had to go self-sufficient, like we've got enough protein here to feed people, feed residents here, and staff and supporting community for
in perpetuity, because think about how many hogs those pigs can have up to 3 litters a year.
Right.
They can start having babies at like 6 months old.
Right.
And their litters are anywhere from 6 to a dozen.
Right.
So I mean, it's
like an endowment of meat, and we're barely touching the interest.
I know exactly. For sure. But and the chicken's the same way. I mean, because we have roosters with our hens, and so we're constantly, getting, in the multiplicative stage, I guess you could say. But back to the harvesting, I'm glad you brought that up, because when you were talking about your experience with both the protein and going vegetarian and different things, it got me thinking about, and I've shared this maybe in some of my personal videos. There's something, whatever, magical, spiritual, whatever word you want to assign to it, that when you're involved with harvesting your food, and whether that's a protein or whether that's a plant, whether it could be a fish, no matter what it is, when you're involved, especially when you've had some hand in maybe the actual catching or the growing, but even just the harvesting of it, and you, with your own eyes and with your own hands, see the transition of life all the way through into the preparation and then ultimately the ingestion of that. There's something different about that.
Oh, yeah.
There, it really, and so when folks are out there listening to this who've maybe not done that in the past, the level of enjoyment that you get from actually eating is so much more than just nourishing your body. It's nourishing your soul.
Yeah.
And then to share that with friends or family, it's just different.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put words around it, but can you imagine, I mean, for folks that don't have that experience that, I was talking to a guy earlier today, and he was talking about how that just out of convenience, he's always in a hurry, and he stops by Burger King and, grabs and so on so many different levels, that's not what I like to do, but that represents a whole culture of people. Can you imagine the health benefits around readjusting your life from dining out, eating as a means to an end, such that the actual food becomes part of the nourishment of your body and soul? I mean, it's just different ends of the spectrum, right?
Well, there's two distinct points that you made there. It's not just the nourishment of your body, but it's also the nourishment of your spine, your soul spiritually, because there is some deeper level of respect, and I think that's what's resonating. Yeah, I think, and I learned this word from our daughter McKenna last week. She wrote. She's in graduate school and pursuing a master's in divinity, and she's got a class on philosophy. And she
you're not going to brag and say the word, but I will. It's like it.
No,
we can't say it.
Well, okay. You can say it if you want. But,
well, I mean, isn't it? It's Princeton,
she's a
right?
Princeton
I mean, that's like one of the
theological
Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, incredibly proud of her.
Yeah.
But she's so smart, and we're very fortunate that she'll share her papers that she's working on with us.
Right.
So here, I like to read this, and it's funny. She wrote a 17-page paper for her philosophy class last week, and I'm reading it, and I mean, I've read some difficult things, and I can kind of work my way through stuff slowly as long as I've got a dictionary next to me, and I'm reading this. I'm like, I can't even understand. I've never seen some of these words before. And one of these words that was used kind of repeatedly in the first page, I had never heard of before. Eudaimonia. Have you heard of eudaimonia before?
No.
Okay. Be interesting, because I actually asked some folks in our book study, our online book study, 2 nights ago, and some very bright spiritual people, including a pastor, and none of them had heard of it.
Yeah.
And
singular in thought, maybe, or something. Or
it is flourishing and living right. It's an Aristotle term from ancient Greek philosophy. Aristotle, Socrates, Plato referred to this state of eudaimonia. It's the highest state of attainment, and it means you're living right, you're living well.
Yeah.
It's not pleasure seeking. Yeah. It's not pleasure seeking.
Right.
It is just being in tune and flourishing. I really love that description, flourishing.
Yeah. It reminds me, you hear, especially the younger people these days, they've discovered the idea of flow state. And so they're all talking about flow state. It's almost like living a life in flow state, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, as soon as I read it and I looked up the definition and talked to her about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it reminded me of our conversations here in this podcast. I wanted to bring it up because that really is sort of the aim for life at the farm.
Yeah.
And, living well, moving our bodies, living in community. What are the four pillars of the farm? You describe them so well.
When Jeff and I first started, really executing the vision, we wanted to make sure that I describe them as either pillars, or sometimes I talk about them through the lens through which we look, but it's this idea of always being true to these kind of 4 things. And the first one is nutrition, and we beat that one up pretty good, right?
Yeah.
The idea of how we grow food and raise food here. The second one, I always hesitate, the easy word would be exercise. I don't like to use that word because so many people come here having had bad experiences being consistent with exercise. And so it brings up shame, it brings up frustration, anxiety. And so I like to use the word functional movement. And maybe we can talk a little bit about how you harvest your food, a little bit more about how that comes into play. But it's this whole idea of, just incidentally getting out of your cabin and integrating yourself into the world and having purpose, whether it is foraging for your food or going to see neighbors or whatever the case is. But it's this idea of just naturally moving your body. And then the third one, and these are in no really particular order, the third one I like to focus on is this idea of lifelong learning. I think, you and I love to constantly be pushing ourselves and learning new things, but a lot of people maybe aren't doing that. And one of the things that I've read beyond nutrition and sleep that helps stave off cognitive decline is this idea of a lifelong pursuit of learning. So it's pushing yourself to experience and learn new things. And so at the farm, that lends itself perfectly to whether it's, learning how to, we were talking about with some of these cuts of meat, how to prepare them ways you've never done before, or maybe buying in bulk and cutting up your own pork chops. That's just the thing that pops in my mind, but it could be learning how to make kombucha or sauerkraut, or who knows, maybe it's reading a book that's outside of your comfort zone. I mean, it could be any of these things. So it's this idea of lifelong learning. And at the farm, the reason it's a pillar of ours is because when we're making decisions, we want the infrastructure to facilitate that. And that's whether it's physical infrastructure or whether it's just the infrastructure of activities. And then finally, the fourth one is this idea of community. And, the same way that you and I share friendship and the same way we thrive on being together, we want everyone coming in to be able to spend their lives in community with other people, because if all of these things are pointing you in the direction of being healthy and hopefully enjoying a longevity and all of these other stuff that people are so interested in, you really can't separate these things from that. And so we're trying to at a very high level and a very attainable level, create this platform for people to immediately join into and immediately see health benefits in their lives. And so, those are the four pillars.
Yeah, and they map almost perfectly with qualities of Blue Zones too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, what we're doing here is, when I talk about us, not having anything to follow, that's really in terms of the community atmosphere of it. What we're doing here has absolutely been done for millennia. I mean, it's the way that folks used to live. It's ancestral living, right?
Right.
So that's definitely not new. It's just the way that we're programming it and packaging it here is what's so different.
Yeah. So maybe let's go back to the what's available from a harvest standpoint to residents as they move here.
Well, the question that almost always comes up is, I see the produce growing, I'm here, how do I get from there? What is the relationship that I have to the produce? Some people think maybe it's delivered to your house, and it's not. So the reason I was kind of teasing about the incidental movement is, and talking about kind of the meditative component of harvesting your own food is, we invite people when they come out here as owners to embrace this idea. Most people will know it as a golden rule to treat others the way that you would want to be treated. And so we want to create a culture and we want to invite people in that your harvesting be thoughtful of just not you and your family, but of others as well. And so the way that we do that and the way we invite people to do that is that you go out, if you're really aggressive, or not aggressive, but if you're overzealous in a good way, we would invite you to go out for all of your meals and do this. If you're not, maybe you do it once a day. But the idea is that you go out and you harvest from the garden, from the orchard, from the eggs, from maybe your fish, whatever the case may be. We ask that you go out daily and harvest that, and that you bring it back, and then that's the produce, that's the food that you'll then be eating for the day. And we do that for a couple of reasons. The one I've already talked, we want to make sure that there's always, while there's tons of food, maybe there's not, tons of ripe tomatoes that very day. And so it's this idea of honoring others by taking what you need and can use, but leaving for others. So it's this idea of honoring other people. It's the idea we've talked about already of moving your body. It's the idea of really enjoying the produce because of this meditative relationship that you have with the food. And then the final one is, maybe this is a fun one to bring in, is since we're growing things from seed, everything starts with this little, this baby little non-GMO heirloom variety seed. People aren't used to eating heirloom variety vegetables. And so they're used to going to the store and buying a tomato, and it's good for a week on their counter, or in some cases more, right? Our stuff, once it comes to its ripeness, it needs to be consumed. And so if you pull it off the vine and accelerate that process and leave it on your counter, it's not going to be good for very long. And so that's the other component of it. Number one, we don't want any spoilage, but then number two, we want you to be able to pick it right at the peak of ripeness. So those are the reasons why we invite people into this way of living.
And so for someone who is maybe moving here and they're vegetarian, they move in and they've got access to all the produce that's grown. They've got access to the eggs. And then for those who are carnivores, meat eaters, then we've got this protein plan, which is being rolled out now, which we got.
It will be the poultry, the turkey, the pork, and then beef. So it'll be all of it. So at this point, I like to tease with folks. Once that's up and running, Lord willing, we're talking, days, if not weeks away. At that point, you'll be able to harvest almost everything that you need to live on at the farm except salt. And so, bring yourself a croaker sack full of salt or whatever else. But other than that, everything will be here. Olive oil, honey, fruit, vegetables.
I mean, we make all our own salad dressings out of olive oil. We've made a mayhaw vinegar in the past. We've made some other vinegars. We've got garlic growing. We've got ginger. We've got all the herbs you could possibly imagine. We've got simple syrup for sweetener from the sugar cane. So speaking of all that, maybe it's a good time to show you the surprise that I've got.
Okay, let's see it.
And this is settled a little bit, so let me stir it up. But this is a juice that Jenny made, and I think I'm going to let you taste it and
see if I can tell what it is.
See if you can tell what's in here.
All right, this is my dirty one. That's your clean one.
I mean, there's all these fancy juice shops all over the place now. Go anywhere.
The cleanse juices and all the stuff.
All these different mixtures. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there's nobody in the world that serves this blend.
Oh, wow. That's really forcing my palate to... All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes. All right, here we go. Oh, my gracious. Number one,
my wife Jenny made this.
It's much sweeter than I would have anticipated. And not in a bad way, but I was anticipating it being like a just pure carrot juice or something almost. Oh my gracious.
Well, you said carrot, so that's one. So I'll give you that one. And there's only 4 ingredients.
Only 4 ingredients?
Only 4 ingredients.
It's got to be oranges.
Yeah. Oranges and carrots.
Oranges and carrots. Is it cucumber?
No.
God, so good.
There is no ginger in here. She said.
Yeah,
she was going to put
taste ginger.
The next
ginger would
one,
be great in it. It'd give it a little bit of bite to it.
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass myself.
What's something that we grow here, and particularly this region, that you don't find in many places in the world? In fact, when you mention it to most people, they've never even heard of it, unless they're from this area. Probably our second largest.
Collard, like some sort of greens or something?
Mayhaws.
Oh, these have the mayhaws in them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
A mayhaw simple syrup. So that's where the sweet's coming from.
Oh, yeah. I gotcha. Because I can taste the oranges. I don't taste the typical sourness though of the mayhaw. So when they were turned into the sweetener, it's probably in there, but it doesn't hit you in the back of the head like a typical mayhaw would.
Yeah. So what we do with the mayhaws, and this is the last bit because we're getting close to May, and I'm really looking forward to the mayhaw harvest coming up next month. But what we did with our mayhaws last year was we froze a bunch. We made a bunch of vinegar, and we made a bunch of mayhaw syrup.
Gotcha.
And I love the mayhaw syrup.
God,
Just to pour a little bit in the sparkling water.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So good. So good.
Nice. So what's the fourth ingredient?
So the fourth ingredient is heirloom tomato.
I got it. I can taste those.
Yep.
Now that you said that, I can taste the tomato on my palate. Yeah.
So I think
Incredible.
the mayhaw is what makes it distinct. There's
Yeah.
not many juice places that got mayhaw in any of their ingredients.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very rare.
I wish everybody could taste that, Curtis. That is, I mean,
good.
I'm going to describe that as a masterpiece. That reminds me, Jenny had made also about a year ago. Remind me, it was was it a tea that she had made with the It was a green. It was like a. Do you remember what I'm talking about? You may have even put some sparkling water in it or something. It was some drink that she made and served me. It was incredible.
Yeah,
but
she's experimenting with stuff all the time.
Well,
She loves all the different.
I mean that's the beauty and the fun though, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you're not just it touches on all the pillars when you say you're experimenting. I mean, it's pushing your mind, like you're learning, you're ingesting these incredibly nutritious things. You're doing it in the context of community, and she's out harvesting. So I mean, it's just like, and that's the part that I really get excited about for people who have had a lot of struggles, like making changes in their lives. Now, admittedly, it would be a big change to move here, but even having a place here and coming seasonally or on the weekend, like this is an off-ramp to life that makes it so easy to make these changes that it really does. And it's not for everyone. I know that living out or having a place isn't for everyone. And I would still encourage people, regardless of whether it's here, to begin to play around with things like what we're talking about, because it only is for betterment. But
That's right.
But doing it in this context makes it so much easier when you're around other people doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's like Jenny says, she feels like it's cheating at life.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Final word, Tom?
Oh, that's right. One word close.
One word to close?
One word close.
We've got a lot of good options.
I'm going to cheat. And I'm not going to technically cheat. I'm going to put hyphens between mine.
Okay.
Mayhaw simple syrup, and I'm out.
Eudaimonia out.
Love it.